Rare bonus video for today, but this story is making the rounds now, and I thought I should comment on it because many of you will probably only hear about this secondhand. So, time for some clarity, as best as I can deliver it. And this interesting story had made the rounds at Gloria TV. It comes from a piece published by what appears to be Gloria TV itself, and it claims that a long-retired bishop has embraced Sedevacantism. That's not a small thing. That story made waves, and I wanted to get this out before some of you reach out to me to comment on it. What didn't actually make waves, though, was the response from the bishop, which was published by an intermediary that is fairly well known by those who follow some of the more strong voices in the traditionalist movement. So let's go over that story quickly today because the position of the bishop in question needs to be clarified. The initial article caused a bit of a storm. It's relatively short, so I'm going to read the whole thing, and then give you the highlights of the clarifying response published by a figure close to the bishop, Brother Bugnolo. And I have links to everything I use here in my show notes at returntotradition.org. I'll say that again in a bit. Beginning with the Gloria TV piece. Headline: Retired Bishop openly supports Sedevacantism. This piece is published by the en.news account, which is an official Gloria.tv account as far as I can tell. The article goes like this, quote, Retired Corpus Christi Bishop Rene Gracida, 97, Texas, believes that Francis is not a bishop, not a Catholic, and not a pope. They cite abyssium.org, January 13th article. Gracida now openly embraces Sedevacantism, the theory that Pius XII was the last pope, implying that after him the church ended. For Gracida, John XXIII started the ape of the church, and he and all his successors have been impostors. Gracida claims that the Novus Ordo Episcopal consecration is invalid since 1968. He excludes himself and his own consecration, however, done in January 1972, which, according to him, didn't follow the Novus Ordo, although Paul VI's ordination rite was introduced in April 1969. An ardent former follower of John Paul II, Gracida now calls Vatican II heretical. He believes the ultramontanist myth that the Pope is the bulwark of the Catholic faith, and notices correctly that no one could seriously say this about the anti-popes of the Vatican II Church. Sedevacantism is a consequence of ultramontanism, which considers the Pope a living oracle. Once it becomes evident that this is not true, the inevitable conclusion is that a deficient Pope is not a Pope at all. End quote. Now, I don't even like the characterization of Sedevacantism here, and I am not a Sedevacantist, to be absolutely clear. I just try to avoid intertrad fighting as much as possible, which is why it pains me a bit to report this story to you. But the story needs to be reported on in the name of clarity and truth. And to that end, I bring you Brother Bugnolo's response, which is lengthy, hence why I won't be reading it in full. I have it linked in the show notes at my sources blog, returntotradition.org. Again, it's at returntotradition.org. That's the name of this channel with a .org at the end. If you email me asking for the source, it may take several days to respond, as I now have nearly 300 emails in my inbox. So again, the articles here are linked at returntotradition.org. Bishop Gracida responded to this by way of Brother Bugnolo, the proprietor of the From Rome blog. The error here stems from Bishop Gracida being in the habit of publishing articles on his site that he doesn't actually agree with. In this case, he published a public letter written by a Sedevacantist that outlined the arguments for Sedevacantism using the teaching of the Church. For those of you who hold to Sedevacantism in this audience, you probably know the arguments well. Bishop Gracida is in the habit of publishing pieces he doesn't agree with in keeping with the traditions of Thomism. Here is an excerpt from Brother Bugnolo's response on Gloria.tv explaining the situation. He doesn't mince words here. Quoting Brother Bugnolo. Bishop Gracida, to those who know of his blog, reprints articles by others. He rarely writes his own. In the style of the great scholastics, St. Thomas Aquinas and St. Bonaventure, he does not omit to put in discussion matters with which he does not agree. All who know of his blog know this. Because of his poor eyesight, he also often posts on his blog articles he wants to keep or archive, since in his browser he can expand the typeface to make the letters visible. Readers of his blog know this, if they are attentive and constant. The letter in question is not even a complete argument, but the summation of points of church teaching which might be used to sustain the entitled thesis. The argumentation is not even in the style of Bishop Cressida, but is clearly taken from other sources of those schooled in Sedevacantism." End quote. His website has articles rejecting Sedevacantism. I know, because I looked. Bishop Cressida has published numerous articles calling it an error. Like in a piece with an enormous title called, brace yourself, this is a big title, "Hard Questions on the 7th Anniversary of the Conclave of March 2013, the answers to which prove that Jorge Bergoglio was not validly selected to fill the chair of Peter for a variety of valid reasons, all of which have been repeatedly published here on abyssum.com, almost from the moment Jorge Bergoglio walked out on the balcony of St. Peter Basilica at the conclusion of the process in the conclave, improperly adorned, scowling, flanked by two men suspected of being part of the James Martin Club." Yeah, that's the title, except I had to clean it up a bit for the sensibilities of our lovely hosts. But in that piece, the author, which is as usual not the bishop, says that Sedevacantism is an error. On the same website, the bishop has posted numerous articles saying that Francis isn't the Pope, that Benedict XVI is, and that there are mechanisms the Church can take to address this issue. Now, if you read the pieces casually, you'd think he is changing his mind all the time, but here's the thing. Like Brother Bugnolo stated, if you are attentive and read the bishop's website regularly, you'll see that he regularly publishes pieces from a variety of traditionalist perspectives to get a discussion going on the state of the Church and how to restore the authentic faith. Hence, he publishes things from a wide variety of perspectives. That is a sin in our age, apparently. Adding to this confusion is that Gloria TV reported breathlessly that Bishop Cressida met with Mel Gibson. If you weren't aware, the director of The Passion of the Christ and quite colorful actor is himself a Sedevacantist. It's worth noting here that there are numerous different variants of Sedevacantism, and I don't know enough about them all to do them justice. I do know that among Sedevacantists, Gibson tends to rub some the wrong way. That's all I know. But the reporting at Gloria TV was done in June of 2020 and has this cringe-inducing headline. "Mel Gibson met with Bishop Cressida. Is Sedevacantism in the air?" This almost sets the stage for this kind of story that broke and caused me to release a second video today, which, by the way, I rarely do, 2 in a day, except for the weekends, mostly to keep from inundating the audience with my commentary. So that's the story as it's been reported. Did Bishop Cressida endorse Sedevacantism? No. Here he goes he is what gets called by some a Benny-plenist, which is a position that Benedict XVI is still Pope and that Francis is a pretender. And I'm not even sure if the term Benny-plenist is one that people who follow that position like. But that's his position as I understand it. The bishop's website is abyssum.org, abyssum.org. And you could go read the contributions there if you want. Just make sure to read the byline, so you know if it's by the bishop or by a contributor. Now, I used to publish submissions from people on my own site, returntotradition.org, but after a while, all I received were submissions for apparitions that were prohibited by the church as not being authentic. Maybe I'll get back to publishing submissions to the site. I get a few hundred hits there every day because of me posting the sources there, like you can go and read for today's videos. Let me know if you'd like me to get back to publishing things on my own site. As always, I thank you for listening, and please, please pray for the church. And tomorrow is Friday, and I have an interesting video for you tomorrow. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.